Hello and welcome to HITC Sport, and Project Big Picture could kill the Premier League as we know it. This weekend it was reported in the Telegraph that a big shake-up in England's top division is being planned by the elite clubs, with a plot for power being launched by the Big Six being masters of financial bounty to save AFL clubs. The state of the English Football League is at a crossroads. With the financial implications of the coronavirus, teams in the AFL could go to the wall and cease to exist. With fans unable to attend, matchday revenue is non-existent. No pre-match burgers, no pints at half-time, no scarves for the bands. But even before the virus hit, money was tight in the lower leagues. We've seen clubs crumble in recent years, including Bolton, who were once upon a time a team to be admired in the Premier League. Shoddy ownership has played its part at the likes of Bury, but across the board the money isn't there to survive. Meanwhile, the Premier League's elite continue to spend. They've continued to spend, while others lose their job, even at their own club. On the day that Gareth Bale's return to Tottenham was confirmed, it was announced that Macclesfield Town were being wound up, and not the kind of wound up that some of you get every time you see it's me doing a HITC video, which the joke they've all clicked off by now. Now that's not Gareth Bale's fault, but it speaks volumes about the state of modern football that a return to Tottenham on huge wages for the Welsh superstar took precedent over an entire club falling out of existence. We're guilty of it here too. We talk about the Premier League pretty much every day because that seems to be what the majority of our viewers want to watch. Lower league clubs are looked at like dirt 99% of the time until it's too late and everyone gives a sympathetic isn't that terrible, as if that's going to save them from the imminent oblivion they're facing. I mean, Sky Sports had a bloody giant stopwatch when Bolton and Bury needed saving, treating entire clubs as if they're an effing game show or an episode of 24. Football was completely put on hold for teams lower than the Championship back in March, and teams haven't started playing again until like September, but this time there's no supporters to aid the financial burden. AFL clubs need saving, and that's where Project Big Picture comes into it. As it stands, no one's helping AFL clubs. The government claim it's down to the Premier League to create a financial package to aid the problem. Meanwhile, you've got Premier League owners such as Crystal Palace chairman Steve Parish comparing the situation to supermarkets. He stated that there were no other bailouts in other industries, with the likes of Asda and Tesco not being asked to bail out local corner shops. Well, that's true, Steve, but people are always going to need bread and milk. If there's only one shop around, that's where people will go. No one's going to be watching football if there's only one bloody club left. While owners merely consider sport as a business now, it can't be compared to any other business. Clubs need other clubs to compete and grow, on account of the Premier League and other divisions actually being a competition. Man United versus absolutely no one isn't going to get fans on board, although I'm still not sure if Harry Maguire and co could keep a clean sheet. Right, so Project Big Picture. The proposal states that the AFL will get a £250 million payment from the Premier League to be distributed between clubs, as well as the FA receiving £100 million. On top of that, 25% of the Premier League's annual revenue would go to the AFL, a large increase from 4%. This all sounds good so far, and when fans are allowed to return to games, there will be a £20 cap on away tickets, something that fans have been lobbying for years, as well as plans to bring in safe standing to stadiums, something we've seen a lot of in the Bundesliga. So far, so good. But there'll be no safe standing at League Cup games or the Community Shield, as the Big Picture proposal would see both competitions abolished, as they're basically seen as a nuisance to the bigger clubs. But tell that to Swansea, who probably had the best day in their history when they won the trophy in 2013. If this was the proposal in its entirety, I think we'd all be applauding it. The wealth would be passed around and football in England could continue and maybe even thrive. The rich would help the not so rich, ensuring the Football League structure can continue without the looming threat of extinction. Sure, the League Cup's important if you go deep into the competition, but I think we'd all happily see it go if it meant the lower league clubs could get the financial package they need to survive. But all is not what it seems. Those financial incentives would come at a price. In return for saving the AFL, the Premier League would be radically reformed. Firstly, it would go from 20 teams to 18, which eventually filtered down to 2 teams being binned out of the Football League, going from 72 clubs to 70. Here's the killer though, the reformed Premier League would almost have a hierarchy of power, with the 9 longer serving clubs effectively getting special power to dictate the division. Those clubs would be the traditional Big Six of Liverpool, Man United, Man City, Chelsea, Tottenham and Arsenal, as well as Southampton, Everton and West Ham. As it stands, all 20 Premier League clubs get 1 vote each when it comes to decisions, with 14 out of 20 votes needed to pass a policy. Like in all democracy, each vote is equal. Man United vote holds just as much power as Burnley's, but under Project Big Picture, that would no longer be the case. Instead, the 9 longest serving members would have a special voting rights, with only 6 out of 9 majority needed to pass a decision. That means the Big Six could pass any decision they wanted. They could change the way TV money is distributed. They could give themselves a 10-point head start over the rest. They could vote to have a half-time show at every game where Chris Martin from Coldplay sings the hits. okay, there might be a limit on what they could vote on, but regardless, it would create a cartel-style Premier League where the show is run by the big boys, with the lower clubs holding no hope of breaking in. You'd never have another Leicester win the league, you'd never get another Man City-style takeover. When City were bought back in 2008, the financial impact took them to the top of the table, and they're now one of the top clubs in world football. If that would have happened in 2020, it wouldn't pass. The big clubs wouldn't allow it. How dare any other club try and topple us? That's why the Newcastle takeover didn't happen this summer. There was too much outside influence, be it from clubs in the Premier League or the state of Qatar. It had nothing to do with human rights. The big clubs already have influence on what happens in the Premier League, but giving them special voting rights would just confirm it in writing. Project Big Picture would also potentially change the way the games are broadcast, with clubs allowed to sell 8 of their live games directly to fans through their own channels. This could change the way fans attend football matches when that's allowed. It would also be a vehicle of making the rich clubs even richer. The richest clubs are the biggest clubs, and the most widely supported clubs, meaning they'd be selling more access to watch their games. There's always going to be more fans paying to watch Liverpool worldwide than someone like Sheffield United. That means the bigger clubs are going to be making a lot more money, and in turn will have a lot more money to invest in their squad and improve, which ensures the gap between them and the rest of the division remains so big that no one can stop them. With that extra money, they can continue to swoop the top young talent from across the country and the world to ensure domination for years to come. Or they just ensure that no one else benefits from the talent. That's what happens when the likes of Chelsea spend millions of pounds on 16-year-olds. Big clubs already want a larger slice of the pie when it comes to revenue, as they're the most watched club, but for the reasons I've just stated, that can't happen. Football is a competition, it should be about who's the best, not who's the richest. This is a disgusting and shocking move by the Premier League's elite, despite their best efforts to sugarcoat it and present as if they're saving clubs in the EFL. If you were that committed to saving clubs in the EFL, you wouldn't need anything in return. And anyway, this proposal's been in the works since 2017 by the Liverpool and Man United owners, so the addition of financial support for the AFL is merely being used as a bargaining chip to get the deal they want. But it's a deal that would kill the Premier League as we know it. You can forget this ridiculous rhetoric that it's the most exciting league in the world. It would become the most boring league in the world, where the non-special clubs would merely be scrapping for survival, and that's it. No chance of progression. The only way to progress would be financially, and the power club's ability to stop takeovers would mean no club would ever get the chance to receive a financial bounty to take them to the next level. There'd be no chance of silverware, as most other clubs' best bet at winning a trophy would merely be a part of the history books. Yes, the AFL does need saving desperately, and yes, this financial package is what they need during these times of hardship, but it will come at a cost, completely ripping the soul away from top tier football, which won't be hard as it's already pretty lifeless to begin with. This is a power grab of epic proportions by the Big Six, at a time when smaller clubs are on their knees. But the name is perfect, Project Big Picture. In the short term, the Football League clubs will get the support they need to survive, but in the long term, the bigger picture is that this financial boost comes at a price, with the assurance that the smaller clubs, or literally anyone outside the top 6, will stay in their lane, know their role, and bow down to their big club overlords who make the decisions, call the shots, win the trophies, and most importantly of all, get the money. Football isn't about the suits, the businessmen, the chairmen, it's not about TV deals or shirt sponsors, it's not even about winning every week. It's about people, fans, community, believing in something, supporting your team through thick and thin, dreaming of maybe achieving something one day, dreaming of maybe reaching the top. Project Big Picture would suck the life out of any dreams fans have of reaching the top. It's a vile attempt to effectively blackmail clubs in need by giving with one hand and taking with another. It simply cannot be allowed to pass. But what do you think? Where do you stand on Project Big Picture? Let me know in the comments down below. As always, don't forget to like, share and subscribe to HITC Sport. And until next time, we will see you around.